Hello guys, welcome to Small Samuel Maths Tutorials. On this lesson, we are going to talk about how to we solve for x whenever we are given a root in the equation. For instance, the square root, the cube root, the fourth root, right? I'm just going to show you a ways on how do you solve x whenever you're given a certain root, right? So, as you can see that from we have solved for x from the question 1. It was about the inequalities. We did talk about the inequalities from the first video. If you are new, you didn't see this video, I will leave the link in the description below so that you can go to check it out, because we also shared some tricks about the inequalities, right? So now let's talk about question 2. Solve for x whenever given 3 into the square root of x is equals to x minus 4, right? So how do we solve for x here? We can see that we have a square root. So remember, we always say that we remove a square root with what? With whenever we square both sides. So whenever we square this thing, we're going to be left with x, right? So meaning whenever we square this thing, we're going to be left with x. So how do we remove the cube root? The cube root. Remember there is a square here. That's why we square both sides. Let's say now we're given the cube root of x. How do we remove the cube root of x? We remove the cube root of x by I don't know, I get this one by it's like we square both sides, and then for the cube root we use the um what the exponent of 3. Let me just put it this way because I don't have a proper name. Then meaning in simpler terms, we're going to have, because of its 3 here, then we do what? We put exponent of 3 and then our answer is going to be x. So if it's fourth root, how do we remove this square root? We're going to remove the fourth root. How? By squaring, or by putting the exponent of 4, right? Guys, English here, English it's a problem, it's a pandemic. Then by 4 like this, ne? So I hope now you have a clear understanding of how do we remove the roots, ne? So now let's start with the first question. Okay, the first question says prove that solve for x given 3 multiplied by the square root of x is equals to x minus 4. So before solving this kind of equation, guys, always rearrange your things. Let's say we were given 3 to the square root of x minus x is equals to negative 4, right? Let's say if we're given something like this. Before you can do anything, you need to put that square root thing aside whereby it's alone, and then arrange all those other values, right? So therefore we're going to have something like that. Yeah, as we can see that this the equation that we're given is arranged. The square root of x is put on the side, and those other values they're on the other side, meaning in simpler terms it's arranged, right? So what do we do the second step? After rearranging them, whereby like, okay, obey square root of x alone, and then you took those other terms to the other side in simpler terms, then we need, because we have a square root of x and we can see that this is the problem, then we're going to square everything so that we can remove what? The square root. Remember I said whenever we remove a square root, we do what? We square both sides. Whenever we remove a cube root, we do what? We are going to do the exponent of 3 to the both sides, right? So now we're going to have 3 into x, and then we square because we have the square root. If it was cube root, we are going to put 3. Then we have x minus 4 into what? Whatever you do on the right, you have to also do it on the left, right? Then whenever we square root, because there is a 3 here, it's going to be 3 to the exponent of 2, it's what? It's 9. Then how do we remove, like what was the aim of us squaring both sides? It was to remove the square root, ne? So meaning we'll be left with what? With x is equals to, then this one is going to give us x squared minus 8x plus 16, right? Then after, it's about arranging this, we're going to have 0 into x squared minus 8x minus 9x plus 16. Therefore, we have x squared minus 17x plus 16. Therefore, we can arrange it 17x plus 16 is equals to 0. So now you can see that we have what? We have the quadratic equation. So you can either factorize or do what? Or use what do we call the quadratic formula, right? So to solve for x. So now we solve for x. We are going to have, I prefer factorizing. But if you don't know the factors, kindly use quadratic formula, guys. Kindly use quadratic formula to avoid mistakes. Then we can see that we're going to have x is equals to 16 or x is equals to 1. Then we are done solving this kind of equation. And also for question 2, we can see that we are given what? We are given the square root, right? So how are you going to answer this question? So I'll leave this question for you to solve it. So meaning, because of you have a square root, you need to do what? You need to arrange these terms accordingly, and then after do what? Square root both sides. And also because you have square root of x squared minus 5 is equals to 2 to the square root of x, we can just square root both sides here to remove the square root, and you'll be left with x squared minus 5 is equals to 4x, right? Then you can do it, guys. I trust you. So this is how we solve for x whenever we are given the square root or the cube root. We just remove those root, right? Thank you. Kindly subscribe and leave a comment behind, and let's not forget to like and also share this video, guys, if you find it helpful.